Hi, I'm David. Thank you for spending the night with us. Tonight we travel back more than 800 years to a stone inn on the old Silk Road on a cold, clear night out on the steppe. You arrive with a caravan just in time, and the great gates close warm and safe behind you. Everything you will hear is drawn from real history, and the sources are listed below. There are no ads waiting to wake you, and nothing sudden ever happens here. So settle in, get warm by the fire, and let the past keep you company. Good night. Welcome, traveler. You can close your eyes now. There is nothing here you need to see with your eyes open, and nothing here that needs anything from you at all. Tonight the only work being done is the work of resting, and you are already doing it perfectly. Tonight we are going back, more than 800 years, to a stone inn standing alone on the great road that once ran the whole width of the world, out on the high dry plains of Central Asia, on the long dusty thread of road that ties the city of Bukhara to the city of Samarkand. It is late autumn, and the day has been cold and bright and enormous, and now the sun is going down behind you, and the cold is coming up out of the ground the way it does in a country with no sea to soften it, and ahead of you, low against the last of the light, are walls. Nothing bad happens on this road tonight. Nothing surprising happens either. The caravan has walked its day's distance, and the inn is exactly where it was always going to be, because someone counted the days between the cities long ago and set an inn at the end of each one, like knots on a rope, so that no traveler need ever spend a night out under the open sky. Tonight is one quiet night among thousands that history never bothered to write down. The chronicles kept the great khans and the sacked cities and the fortunes made and lost, and let the ordinary safe arrivals fall through, and those nights were most of what the road ever was. You are expected tonight in the plainest way a traveler can be, which is to say, not as a person at all, only as one more tired soul arriving at dusk, the only thing this building was ever built to receive. There's a bed for you here, and fire, and water, and fodder for the animals, and it costs you little or nothing, because a rich man or a pious ruler paid for all of it long ago and asked only that travelers be kept warm. That is the whole of tonight's story. If you drift off in the middle of it, that is not an interruption. That is the story working. So, let us get in before the gate closes. You come up the last rise of the day in the middle of the caravan, walking now rather than riding, and the low light lays your long blue shadow out ahead of you across the pale ground, pointing the way to the walls. The caravan does what caravans have always done at the end of a day. It gathers itself in. All day it has been strung out, long and loose across the plain, the camels swaying in their slow, patient line, each rope to the tail of the one ahead. And now, with the walls in sight, the whole long animal of it draws together and quickens, just slightly, the way a traveler's step quickens at a lit window. The lead camel knows what walls mean at dusk, and its bell, which has rung all day, changes its rhythm now, and you understand that the animals are glad too. The ground under your feet is not a made road here, only the track that 1,000 years of caravans have pressed flat and pale across the steppe. This road carried silk west before Rome was an empire, and jade east, and glass and paper and words, one of which it is carrying to you tonight, and will hand you quietly by the fire in a little while. The air smells of dust and dry grass and far-off wood smoke, and threaded under everything, the first thin smell of a cooking fire inside those walls, the smell that tells your body, before your mind has quite agreed, that the day is over and it went well, And there ahead, close now, is the inn itself, and it is not much to look at from outside, which is exactly right, because these places never are. It is a long, low fortress of a building, walls of mud brick and stone the color of the ground it stands on, so that it seems to have grown up out of the plain rather than been set down on it, blank and windowless, with round towers at the corners, not for war, but for strength, and one single great gateway in the middle of the near wall, a tall arched mouth deep enough to be a small tunnel, its heavy wooden door standing open, warm light leaking out into the cold blue evening. The building keeps its face turned inward, all its life gathered around a courtyard of sky, and the only promise the road ever gets is that one open-lit gateway, open for you tonight, though it will not be open much longer. You come in under the great arch, just as the last light goes, into the deep shelter of the gateway passage, and the sound changes all at once. The wide, thin silence of the plain, shut off behind you, and the close, warm noise of the inn, folding around you instead, and you feel the day's wind stop against your back. The gatekeeper stands in the passage, an unhurried man, wrapped against the cold, and he looks the caravan over, the way he has looked 10,000 caravans over, not with suspicion, only with the calm, counting eye of a man whose whole art is knowing how many souls and how many animals have come in under his arch by nightfall. A word or two passes, and you are waved through into the light, welcomed with the small nod that has met guests since gates were invented. And behind you, once the last camel's tail has cleared the arch, the gatekeeper and a helper swing the great doors closed. Stand and listen to this for a moment, because it is one of the best sounds in the whole night. 2 leaves of oak, taller than a mounted man, studded and worn smooth where hands have pushed them for generations, come slowly together with a long, low groan and meet, and a beam as thick as your leg is dropped into its brackets with a single deep wooden knock that you feel in the floor, and that is the day sealed out. The cold, the dark, the wind, the enormous emptiness of the plain, all of it is now on the other side of that beam, and you are on this side, with the fire and the light and the animals and the company, behind walls that have kept exactly this cold, out of exactly this courtyard, night after night, for longer than anyone here has been alive. You step out of the gateway passage into the open, and the courtyard of the inn opens around you. It is a great square, open to the sky, broad enough to turn a whole caravan around in, its floor packed earth swept and worn, walled on all 4 sides by the inn itself. Along the ground floor of every wall runs a deep arched arcade, a covered walk held up on heavy piers, and set back within it, all the way around, are the openings of the sleeping cells and the storerooms, dozens of them, small vaulted chambers, each with its low arched doorway, some already lit from within, so that the whole arcade is stitched with points of warm gold. In the center of one wall, the arcade rises into a single tall vaulted arch, far bigger than the rest, the grand porch of the place. Tonight the inn is comfortable, but not crowded, which is the best way for an inn to be. And overhead, framed by the 4 roof lines like a picture, is the sky, and it is the thing that stops you. Out here, with the walls cutting off every lamp and every fire, so that only the pure dark of the plain is left above you, the stars have come out in a way you have no word for, not scattered but heaped, not points but a powder. The whole slow river of them poured straight across the black from one roof line to the other, so many and so bright that the courtyard below seems lit faintly from above. The travelers hardly look up. They have the sky every clear night of their working lives. But you look up and you keep looking, because you came from a time and place where the sky was mostly washed out, and here it is, the real one, the one your ancestors slept under. But the sky can wait, and the animals cannot, and the first business of every arrival, before a single traveler thinks of his own supper, is the animals. And so you turn your eyes down from the stars and watch the courtyard do the oldest work of the evening. The camels are brought in from their swaying line and made to kneel, and a camel kneeling is a thing done in stages, a great deliberate folding, front knees first, with a grunt of enormous patience, then the settle of the whole long body down onto the packed earth. Down come the loads, the great balanced bales roped in pairs across each back, the bundles of raw silk light as their name, and the sacks of spice heavy as sin, each pair carried in under the arcade to a storeroom and stacked, so that the day's fortune of a dozen merchants sits safe behind stone for the night, and the camels, unburdened, seem to rise a hand taller even lying down. Then the animals are watered. In the middle of the courtyard is the well, the true heart of the place, because an inn on the dry plains is only ever as good as its water, and the bucket goes down and comes up, and the long stone troughs are filled, and the camels and horses are led to drink in their turns. Watch a camel drink after a day's march. It is in no hurry, and when it has finished, it lifts its dripping chin and looks out over the courtyard with an expression of such ancient disdain that you cannot help but love it. These animals do the real labor of the road, not the merchants, not the drivers, not you. The camels carry the world across the world on their backs, day after day, on almost nothing, and ask only for this at the end of it: water and fodder, and a walled place to fold their legs. And then they are fed, and the courtyard fills with the sound of many large animals eating in the dark, and one by one they settle, each long neck lowered by degrees, until the heavy head lays down along the ground. By the time full dark has come, the courtyard floor is dotted all over with these great resting shapes, dark hills breathing slowly under the stars, and the whole patient engine of the caravan has switched itself off for the night, and is dreaming, if camels dream, of more road. While the animals settle, the man who keeps this inn moves through the evening, and you fall in near him for a while, because a place shows itself best over the shoulder of somebody who has cared for it a long time. He is not a young man, the keeper. He has the unhurried economy of someone who has done every task in this courtyard 10,000 times, and has long since stopped wasting a single motion on any of them. He knows without counting how many have come in tonight, and how many cells are taken, and how much fodder is left, the way you know, without looking where the walls of your own home are in the dark. This inn is his life's work, and very likely his father's before him, and he keeps it the way a lamp keeper keeps a light, as a steward of something that belongs to the road itself. He goes from lamp to lamp along the arcade as the dark comes down, each little clay lamp trimmed and its small flame steadied, and the warm gold points multiply around the courtyard as he goes. He has a longer word and a hand on the shoulder for a young driver making his first trip, who is trying very hard to look as though arriving at a caravanserai at dusk is nothing to him at all. And he takes nothing, or almost nothing, for any of it, and it is one of the quietly astonishing facts of the old road. This inn, and the one a day's walk back, and the one a day's walk ahead, and the whole chain of them, strung across 1,000 miles between the great cities, were built and paid for as gifts. A wealthy merchant, or a ruler who wanted trade to flow through his lands, or a pious soul thinking of the next world, would endow a caravanserai, would raise the walls and dig the well and set aside income to keep it running forever, so that travelers, any travelers, of any land or faith or trade, could shelter here and be given water and fire and safety and pay no fee. It was charity and good sense at once, because the road was the wealth, and it only stayed open if the travelers on it stayed alive. And so the safe, warm night you're about to have was arranged for you by a stranger who has been dead for centuries and never knew your name and did not need to. You are sleeping tonight inside another person's good deed, and that is a thing worth carrying with you into the dark. The keeper points you toward the warm room, and you cross the starlit courtyard between the resting camels and duck in under a low arch, and here is where the night truly gathers. It is a long vaulted room off the courtyard, its ceiling low and curved and blackened with the smoke of years, and in the middle of it, in a hearth of stone and clay, burns the fire, and every good thing in the room arranges itself around it, the way everything in a family arranges itself around the oldest kindness in the house. The room is warm, properly warm, the first real warmth your body has felt since morning, and it works slowly inward until you feel your shoulders come down from around your ears. And the room is full of the road, which is to say, it is full of the whole world. Around the fire sit the travelers of a dozen caravans and a dozen lands, and you could not name half of where they are from, and neither, quite, could they name each other. There is a Persian merchant in a fine dusty coat talking trade with his hands. There are Turkic horsemen from the northern grasslands, lean and quiet, sitting on their heels the way men do who have spent their lives in the saddle. There are traders of these valleys, the heirs of merchants whose kind have carried goods and languages up and down this route for more than 1,000 years. And there is a man who has come the whole way from the east, from the land of silk itself, and a man bound the whole way there, and between them the silk changes hands, one link at a time, because almost no one travels the whole road. It is far too long for any one life. The goods are passed like a bucket down a line of hands, each merchant carrying them one stage of a journey. None of them will ever complete. Nobody here shares a full language, and it does not matter in the least, because the language of a fire on a cold night is older than any of theirs, and everyone at it is fluent. A cup is passed to you, warm in your cold hands, and it steams, and it is tea, or something near it, dark and a little bitter and threaded with something sweet, or on another night, warm milk spiced with pepper and honey, whatever the inn has. The point is not the drink, it is the warmth passing from the fire into the cup, into your two hands, into the middle of you, and the small circle of faces lit gold on one side and dark on the other, all of them tired in the same good way, all arrived, all safe behind the same barred gate under the same heaped stars. And now, by this fire, let me hand you the small thing the road has been caring for you, because it belongs to you as much as to anyone here. You know the word already. You have used it your whole life without ever once thinking where it came from. The word is caravan. A caravan, you have always known, is a company of travelers moving together across a hard country, banded together for the road because there is safety in numbers. exactly the thing that walked you in through that gate tonight. And the word comes to you, almost unchanged, from the old Persian word caravan, which means precisely that, a company of travelers on the road. It traveled from these very plains, passed hand to hand the way the silk is, slipped into one language after another, each one keeping its shape until it reached you, still meaning what it always meant. And the place you are sleeping tonight keeps the word inside its own name, caravanserai, a caravan, and sarai, which is simply the Persian word for a lodging, an inn. A caravanserai is nothing more or less than a lodging for a company of travelers, which is exactly what it is. And now, tonight, you are inside the word itself, sheltering in the thing the word was made to name. You do not have to remember any of this, but some ordinary day far from here, you may hear the word caravan, or see one, a line of anything moving together across a distance, and you may feel it happen, a small tug, the sense of a company banded together for a long road, of walls waiting at the end of the day, of a fire in a past cup, and the safety of not going alone. The word crossed the whole world, and 800 years, to sit down beside you at this fire. Under the oldest words, somebody is always on the road, and somebody is always keeping a light for them at the end of it. Supper here is a simple road supper, and it is better for it, because a tired body wants plain warm food, and plenty of it, and no ceremony at all. There is flatbread, torn warm from around, baked against the wall of the oven, the kind these plains have eaten for millennia. There is a pot of something long stewed, mutton perhaps, or lentils gone soft and golden, with a little fat and salt. There are dried fruits from the great orchards of the river valleys, apricots and mulberries and raisins, sweet and dense with a whole summer of sun, small enough to carry 1,000 miles, and generous enough to be worth it. And you eat with your fingers from the shared dishes in the way of the road, elbow to elbow, with men you cannot speak to, and it is one of the most companionable meals you will ever have, precisely because nothing needs to be said. The talk around the fire, in its several languages, is all really about the same few things, the way travelers' talk always is, the state of the road ahead, the passes, whether they are open, whether the first snow has come to them yet, which inns are kind, and which merely adequate. It is the traveler's oldest currency, this road news, worth more than coin out here, and it passes around the fire like the dishes do, each man adding his stretch of the road to the common map. A very old man on the far side of the fire, who has clearly made this road more times than he can count, tells a long, slow story that half the room cannot understand a word of, and they let him tell it whole anyway, because that is what the story is for. And a young driver falls asleep, sitting up against a saddlebag with a piece of bread still in his hand, and nobody wakes him. And under the talk, always, the fire, gone down now to a deep working glow, the coal settling and now and then letting out a soft collapse and a small rush of sparks up toward the blackened vault, that near, patient murmur that the whole night is built around. Before you go to your bed, you step out once more under the stars, and the courtyard is transformed, the bustle of the arrival all gone, the load stored, the animals down, lying before you in the pure cold starlight, silver and still, dotted all over with the dark breathing hills of the sleeping camels and horses. Here and there, a driver has bedded down beside his animals, rolled in a felt against the flank of a beast he trusts, the two of them breathing together in the dark. The keeper lifts his lamp toward the sleeping courtyard in a small gesture that means, plainly enough in any language, all is well here, it is time. Your room for the night is one of the small vaulted cells off the arcade, and it is exactly what a room should be at the end of a long road, which is to say, small and plain and warm enough, and asking nothing of you at all. It is a single low chamber with a curved brick ceiling, deliberately small, because a traveler's room has only one job, to hold sleep. The walls are bare and thick, and they keep the nights cold on their far side, where it belongs, and in a small niche, a single clay lamp burns low, its flame trimmed to a steady bead of gold that turns the plain brick the warm color of bread. Along one side is a low raised platform, and on it your bed, a thick felt for a mattress, and over it your own blanket, and the coarse warm covers of the inn, and a saddlebag for a pillow, warmer than anything has any right to be after the day you have had. Beside the bed, a cup of water. There is nothing in this room you do not need, and nothing you need that is not here. You take off your dusty boots, and the earth floor is cold for one honest moment under your feet, and then you are up onto the platform and down into the felt and the covers, and the whole day's road arrives in your body all at once. The good deep ache of distance walked, the tiredness that has somewhere to go and knows the way. Through the low doorway, muffled, comes the last of the warm room's murmur and the soft sounds of the settling courtyard, and above, through some high small opening, one hard bright star hangs in the corner of the dark and watches over you the way stars do. Listen now. The inn is going to sleep all around you, and every sound it makes is a good sound. The fire in the warm room has been banked down for the night, and it holds now as a deep bed of embers under a soft gray coat of ash, one red patient thought, kept alive in the dark, so that in the cold hour before dawn there will be a coal to wake the morning's fire from, fire passed to fire, the oldest relay there is. The great gate is barred, and the whole enormous cold night shut out on the far side of it. Lamp after lamp along the arcade has been pinched out, the little gold points going dark one by one, until only a scattered few are left, and yours, in its niche, which is yours to keep or pinch as you like. Out in the courtyard, the animals have gone all the way down into sleep, and then the deep, even breathing of a whole caravan at rest, a sound so steady and so large that after a while you stop hearing it as many animals and start hearing it as one great warm creature breathing slowly in the dark, and you're inside its breathing. The merchants in their cells are still, their fortunes stacked safe behind stone a few steps away, watched over by nothing but walls, because the walls have done this every night for 100 years and know their work. The house of the road is going down for the night, cell by cell around the great square. Somewhere across the courtyard, a last low voice says something short and content in a language you will never learn, and another answers it, softer, and then nothing. A door is drawn to, a camel bell chimes once, far off and stills. The wind goes on along the top of the walls, high and thin and far above, and never once comes down into the sheltered dark where you lie. There is nothing in this night that needs you. The gate is barred, the animals are fed and watered and down, the fire is banked, the goods are stored, the keeper is asleep at last, near his gate, where keepers have slept since inns were invented, and under everything, holding everything, the walls, thick and old and patient, keeping the road and the cold and the huge indifferent plain exactly where they belong. Every task this day contained is either done or has agreed to wait for morning, and morning is a long way from here. Tomorrow, in this inn, the keeper will rise in the cold dark before the light and wake the fire from its embers, and the smell of it and of new bread will find every cell in the same order the light does. The great beam will be lifted and the gate swung open, and the cold, clean morning of the plain will pour in, and the caravans will file out, one by one, to take up the road again, west toward Samarkand, east toward Bukhara, each to its own, next inn a day away. But that is tomorrow, and tomorrow is not your concern, and it is not here yet, and it keeps. History will tell you about this road's empires and its cons, and its fortunes and its wars, and history is not wrong, and much of it happened not far from where you lie. But history was written by the daylight. It kept the conquests and the treaties, and it lost almost all the nights, and there were so many more nights than conquests. Night after night, like this one. The gate closing at dusk. The animals going down under the stars. The cup passed at the fire between men who could not speak. Nobody wrote these nights down, because everyone who lived them was asleep, exactly as you are doing now, 800 years downstream, behind walls that someone raised out of kindness for a traveler they would never meet. This is the oldest thing you will ever do, older than the road, older than the cities the road ties together, older than silk, older than the word that crossed the whole world to reach you tonight. Coming in out of the cold at the end of a long day, trusting the walls to hold and the night to pass on its own, because it always has, every single time, all the way back, no exceptions, not once. Your breathing has gone slow and deep. The fire glows on without needing you, embered and patient down the dark arcade. The animals breathe in the courtyard, one great warm creature under the stars, and the enormous quiet of the plain that you feared a little as you crossed it in the daylight is on the far side of the walls now. Nothing more than the vast, soft silence that a whole caravan is sleeping inside of, safe and fed and warm. The road is barred out, the cold is walled off, the stars are keeping their slow appointment overhead, and they will keep it whether you watch or not, so you need not watch. Let the last of the day go now. It was a good day. It got you here, safe, behind the walls, in time. The road will keep till morning. The morning will keep till you wake. Sleep now, traveler. Good night. History will keep till morning.